Municipal Light Plant Board of Commissioners meeting, August 16th, 2016, at 7 p.m. I call the meeting to order.
That should say 17.
17. Right.
Oops. Typo on my part.
Yeah, it's 17. Okay. And then it is on this 17. So. Okay. Our first agenda item is citizens query from 7 to 7:10 p.m. As there's nobody else here tonight, we can move on to item number 2, which is discussion on policy for stipends. So, what do we think?
How do you want to, do you just want to have a general discussion? We need to talk about how we want to define the stipend in the policy, personnel policy handbook. It needs a vote of the Board of Commissioners to actually be, to put in the policy handbook, so we kind of need to define it as to what it is in order to do that and put it in the handbook.
Yeah, I looked on page 78 of the Raleigh Municipal Employment and Personnel Policies for the Light Board, and there's nothing there. So as I look at it, what we voted on did not exist. And so I think it's null and void, what we voted on, because it didn't exist in the policy handbook, as I see it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went back and I read the memorandum again, and I'm not really sure if it would stand up to a test of the stipend.
I have to kind of agree with you, Bob, on that one. I did get a chance to read this. We got this from
Yep.
Miranda. It was dated August 2nd from Newton Rutland.
Yes.
And it does give a list on page 3 of the various things you can call it. What's kind of interesting here is on page 2, the last paragraph. It's according under General Laws, Chapter 164, may provide its employees with a stipend or allowance so long as it does not violate the principles of General Laws, Chapter 32B.
To be.
As the court stated, barring a cooperative effort to circumvent Section 7A, bargaining leading to a reduction in percentage contributions in exchange of some alternative benefits raised, no question of equity under Section 7A. And that was at Swampscott Education Association.
First, the town of Swampscott, 391, Mass. 864, 868, 1984.
Yeah, and it's been around for a while.
Yeah.
And it's been used quite a few times to straighten things out. So I think just that alone could really cancel.
Well, it's, we're not giving them a stipend to offset the cost of health insurance. We didn't define the stipend, we just said we want to give them a stipend of X amount of dollars. And
Well-
we never defined it as a board. You never voted as, this is for X, Y, or Z. It was never defined, so.
I understand what you're saying, Dan. Now, what I believe, and I think the board should take into consideration, is we had a discussion before the meeting, and we were talking about healthcare, and we were talking about stipend, so I think, especially with 32B, this would, it would be looked at as a healthcare stipend. And I think that throws a monkey wrench into the whole thing. And plus, before we even get into talking about that, I think, because it's not in the personnel folder, what we voted for is null and void. Matter of fact, I think we should probably vote to rescind the stipend, just, I'm not sure, I just, it's become a convoluted situation here.
Right, because the board just voted an amount to give the employees. They never voted as far as a policy,
Right.
so. I mean, if, in reading the memo, he goes back and forth to
Mhm.
for and against kind of in the memo as far as the stipend goes. So I guess I'm looking to you to see how to proceed as far as, do you want to come up with language for a stipend? Do you not want to do the stipend at all? I guess I'm trying to figure out where the board wants to go for direction from here.
I think we should probably vote to, this is me, I think we probably should vote to rescind the stipend that we voted on, because I think it's null and void, and we should take it off the table, and then go back and,
And I mean, it's really, the stipends thing is really, the stipends situation is really tricky.
yeah, I think if that went into court, I think it would be, even though, and like you said, Dan, it's going back and forth in the memo here. I just don't think, especially with 32B, it would not would stand the test.
Okay.
There's another section of the law, it's in chapter, John, actually on page 3 also, and it's the second paragraph before the list of things. And it says, we note that a stipends or allowance for general expenses should not affect pension entitlements. Pensions are calculated on the basis of regular compensation pursuant to 840 CMR 15.03. The following payments generally are treated as regular compensation, and it gives a whole list.
I don't think I have the right memo. Did I not grab the right one? I got it. No, I just had the wrong one. There's a list. Yeah, and then it goes on to say stipends and allowances for expenses generally are not considered regular compensation. The following payments generally are excluded as regular compensation. In the second half of that list. At the bottom, it says, as such, bonuses based on merit or reasons other than for longevity or cost of living, or stipends intended to compensate employees for general expenses would not count towards the pension benefit.
Right. And there is a wording for that too, at the bottom of the page. Such payments, however, may be taxable.
But I think we should rescind the vote for the stipend last time. And I would make a motion that we do that at this particular time.
I mean, what we could, I suppose, there is cost of living adjustments that become part of base pay. And payments for length of service, longevity. Now, we already paid that one.
Yes, longevity, they already get longevity.
So we could use part of that to maybe come up with something to add to the cost of living adjustments that become part of the base pay. So you could actually say, we're gonna give you a cost of living, it's what did we come up with, 2.5 or 2.6 or whatever, 2.75?
I'd vote to rescind the stipend right now.
Yeah.
I make the motion, and then to make another motion to give it back to you, Dan, as for, on the compensation, okay? And we stay with what you said last time about compensation.
And not give the employees anything else, no stipend, no,
I don't think so, I don't think we can do it.
no, I mean, besides the stipend, I mean, you're gonna vote to rescind the stipend, but you're not gonna give them anything else besides what we just gave them?
Want to leave it open?
Well, and I don't have much problem, I don't know if we can spend a whole lot of money here.
Yeah, I don't know how much,
It's, I mean, they don't give you much wiggle room here as far as trying to add something to this. I mean, we already give them overtime. It does mention special projects, but that would be something like if you were building a substation or something like that. It wouldn't be something that you would do all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Reimbursement we give for travel already?
I know, it's not gonna sit well with the employees that you had originally voted to do this, and now you're gonna rescind half of what you voted for, and just give them the
no,
first part of it.
I understand that, and it's just that I don't think it would stand. And,
No, I understand the stipend part of it,
Yeah.
leaving the stipend aside. I made a recommendation
Right.
for that raise, including the amount of the stipend.
Mhm.
So, if I had known that the stipend wasn't gonna fly, I might have made a different
Okay.
proposal for the percentage raise.
Okay,
Cause that's what I based the whole thing on, was the stipend and the percentage raise. So, it's,
I can make a motion, Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
Make a motion to rescind everything that we put on the table last time, and then put it back to Dan, and then go from there,
Yeah, and I would.
as the general manager?
they already got paid they already got paid their, back pay
On the
today.
On the 2%, okay.
On the,
So you
yeah.
wanna leave the COLA in there for now?
Hmm?
You wanna leave the COLA there for now? River's already given them the,
Yeah.
supposedly
I-
the retroactive stuff.
I just don't think this, and I think we should,
We need to definitely come up with something that's gonna,
well, I think right now, the stipend, we gotta address that. So I make a motion that we rescind the stipend.
yeah, I have to agree with that, Bob. Once you read this through and you kinda look at it very closely, it gets
Yeah, I
very,
just
very-
don't think it will stand.
Really,
It would probably cost us more.
I think it would. I mean, it's not gonna,
I'm trying to
it's gonna
avoid,
be hard to keep somebody from coming in and say, hey, you know, you're violating
yeah, exactly,
32B.
that's right, I don't wanna,
So, I mean, it wouldn't be hard to make that case.
yeah.
So, you wanna make that motion?
I made that motion.
Seconded.
Okay, the motion's made and seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, if you don't mind, I'd like to have a minute to look something up.
Sure.
Take two.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Dan, would you like to have recess, 5-minute recess?
It's up to you, we can either, I'm just gonna go check my, what I'd like to do is check the rate of pay
Yeah,
that they're getting now, and kind of figure out what the stipend represents in a percentage pie of the pay. That way, if at least we give them the extra
I-
percentage,
yeah, I don't even think we wanna even talk about,
okay?
when it comes to stipend, that's all, just.
No, I understand, It wouldn't be a stipend, it'd just be a percentage
Okay,
on top of what we
Alright.
already gave them.
yep.
I just
What-
want a minute to figure it out, that's
Make a
all.
motion to take a 5-minute recess?
Sure.
Okay.
We are in a 5-minute recess.
So I just
welcome again. Okay,
So I just wanted to do some quick figuring on what the amount we were going to give represents as a percentage raise that would add to that amount. But basically, the average comes to about 2.75% across all the employees. I would recommend that we do something in that nature rather than just rescinding what we had already voted on and not giving them anything added on to what we voted on, only because what I had said originally was, what I recommended to the board was the percentage raises and the stipend was one package.
Mhm.
And that's what was voted on, so I guess it's in your hands now, as far as what
Really
you
kind
can
of
do.
brings us back almost to where we were originally in the very beginning of the discussions.
ten-year comparison. Healthcare Tacoma. And in 16, we did give them 2.75%. We also did it in 16. 15 and 16.
The 2.75 would be on top of what they already got, to bring it up to what I originally offered.
So what would that be though?
It'd be about 4.75% for the line crew, and then 4.25 for the office staff. And the whole idea, I know the board's feeling on the stipend, but the whole idea, and I just kind of maybe justify why I wanted to do it that way, was because of the way the payroll is, and I don't know if I've kind of gone down this road before, but please tell me if I have. The way the payroll is figured with their standby pay, with the overtime, with everything else, everything is the hourly rate snowballs if you add large amounts to the hourly rate. That's why I wanted to do the stipend, or go down the road of looking for a way to do a stipend for the employees rather than the hourly wage, only because the hourly wage has so many ripple effects in the whole scheme, the big scheme of things.
What would be the cost of the package, Dan? The whole amount for everyone?
I mean, as far as the dollar amount?
Yep.
That, I'd have to figure that out to do that. I don't wanna spout numbers off the top of my head, so.
Right.
I would have to figure that out, so, I mean, I'm open to what the board has to say, I'm just kinda giving you my
Right.
feeling on the situation and how I feel we should proceed, but.
I thought we were talking like, we were talking back 2.57.
Right, and when we had our first meeting, we had talked about the, just a straight percentage raise. And then I had recommended the percentage raise in the stipend. And then the employees didn't really want that, and so they wanted something else, and I think we went back and forth a number of different times. And we finally, and I think we tabled it at that last meeting, and then the next meeting, we said, that's when you voted on what was put forth at the last meeting, which was the two for the line crew, 1.5 for the office staff, and the 2,600 something stipend.
Yeah, I was under the belief there was 2.57. I think that was the figure that was for everything.
The stipend, the $2,600 stipend ends up being about $1.29 an hour. If you take it, divided by 52 weeks, divided by 40 hours, it's about,
Yeah, I want to get away from the talk of the stipend.
okay.
That's-
No, I'm just trying to relate to
Yeah,
what
right, I
the
understand.
amount that we were putting forth.
I just think that, excuse me, guys, I just think that, we're talking 4.7, that's extraordinary amount of an increase. I wasn't prepared for that. I don't know what your feelings are.
Well, I know we had kicked back a couple of figures there for the COLA, and they came up with something that was higher than what we were looking at,
Mhm.
so I don't remember exactly what the figure was that we were using, the percentage that we were using for that one. But there is a place where you could kind of tuck that stuff. It's the annual, actually, it's the cost of living adjustments that become part of the base pay. And it has, and payments for the length of service longevity, which we already pay that part of. That's already in the mix.
Dan, do you need more time to look at this, or?
It depends which road you wanna go down. Do you want numbers for me, what this represents? Do you want, as far as a dollar amount? I'm not sure where you guys are headed from here. I guess I need some more information as far as what you wanna do.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. And the highest we've ever gone on the COLA side is about 5%.
When was that, Bob?
That was in 2007. 2007.
And what is the cost of living right now is what?
2016, or 2016, was 2.75.
0.75.
Yeah, and we don't have one for 2017. But I'd say 2016 was 2.75. And there's nothing under 17 for a raise. Although which was last year, it's not 2018, but 2017, 8.02% was the health raise. The increase in the health, according to this chart. And in 11, actually, the health part was 12.76. Which is pretty hefty.
Yeah.
Okay, Bob, on that one, and help on the other one.
I believe the COLA for this year is only 0.3%,
0.3%.
if I'm reading this chart correctly.
That's because the government keeps taking everything out of it all the time. Because the food's not in there, and I don't know what else is not in there anymore.
Right at this point, right at this point, the town pays 52.5% of the health insurance. So,
Well, we voted a pay raise already.
Mm-hmm.
That's,
yeah, that's the COLA. That's basically what the rest of the employees are getting, is the COLA.
we voted for, just refresh my memory, Dan.
1.5% for the office staff and a 2% for the line crew.
2%. And that's already been in effect.
I believe they went down with the payroll today.
It's kind of sticky, doesn't it?
Hmm?
That kind of makes it a little bit sticky.
Yeah, that's,
Wouldn't mind raising it a little bit more, the COLA itself. But we've already given out part of it, so we would have to add that to the next one. But if there was an
well,
increase.
If you'd like to, I mean, I can check to see what actually has been done. I know the payroll's due this week. I know it's all been figured out. So, I'm not sure if it's been submitted to the town yet or not, or I can check that.
It's probably come in, it won't be,
It'll probably be submitted first thing in the morning.
it won't be ready till Monday to be signed.
But we've already voted.
Yeah, it's there,
It's there.
it's there. So,
I know when I handed you that sheet I originally did, it compared a lot of different utilities as far as rates of pay. And the rates of pay were fairly close in the line crew, and then the office staff was a little higher than most. If you think about where we live and the fact that we require the employees to stay or live within a certain distance in this area, this is one of the more expensive areas to live in the state. So the reason, well, they should get paid probably a little bit more than somebody that's getting paid in the central part of the state or in the western part of the state, only because of the cost of living in this area. And not sure how we want to do that. I mean, that's, well, I know the board is dead set against the stipend thing, so I'll let that one lie.
Well, I just don't think it would fly. I just don't think in a court case it would. shouldn't say quibbles, a challenge, let's put it that way. I would like to know how much we can afford. Pay-wise.
You wanna know how much it's gonna cost?
Yeah.
Would you like me to do a range of, or would you like to just, up to a single amount? How do you want me to, I mean, I can just do 1, 2, 3, 4% and kinda come up with a idea what it's gonna cost for each amount, or I'm just kinda looking to see what kind of information you want.
What do you think?
Well, I think we need to look at it and put something in the pot. I think we could do that, but it's just trying to figure out what the average might be that we could go to. We've done pretty well through the last
As kind of a token of good faith, would you be willing to
10 years.
do like, kind of a percentage like we're talking about, but also add to, give them an amount into their longevity, a little bump in the longevity as well?
Well, we could do that, Dan, based on this.
It's kind of a twofold thing.
No, I know what you're saying, and it is available under this. We're dealing with 32,
It's something they already get.
section 7A, that's what you gotta be careful of.
Well, longevity is something they already get. They already receive longevity every year.
Yes, yep, payments for length of service, longevity. We could do cost of living adjustments that become part of base pay. I don't know if you wanna go crazy with that one either, but you could use it. They classify that as regular compensation. Annual base pay. Which would be basically cost of living. I would think that's what you could tag it with.
Hmm?
Cost of living would be the tag. But some of these things you can't tie them together and make them work. And it says stipends and allowances for expenses generally are not considered regular compensation. The following payments generally are excluded as regular compensation. So. Get into some of these other things, cost of livings, stipends, and general expenses would not count towards the pension benefit, which they should be very concerned about that. Because that
Right.
is not good.
But anything that counts towards their pension benefit would count towards all their overtime rates as well, because it's considered salary.
Do we have enough information now to do something now, or do we need more information?
Sure, Bob. I mean, we're really not all that far away on some of these calculations that Dan had done. These here. We're pretty much in the ballpark.
Would you like to table it till next month to give it some thought?
I suppose we could do that.
I think we should have some figures, Dan.
Okay. I can get you some figures as well as find out how much it's gonna cost.
Okay. And we'll leave it open until then, okay? And
Okay.
these are, we voted on to stand for pay raising right now. Okay,
The pay raise stands, just the stipend is rescinded.
rescinded.
Okay.
I'll give a motion to table it.
You can do that.
Kenny?
Yeah,
I'll give a motion to table it.
yep,
Okay.
second,
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
All right,
aye,
Opposed?
hey there.
Motion carried.
anything else?
Nope, that was all on the agenda.
Give a motion to adjourn?
Second that motion.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor,
I
signify by saying aye.
apologize for being late.